Talent. Talent is showing up. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Thanks for being here with us. We're going to have some fun today and learn a lot from some super talented team leaders so that we can help you guys build your businesses with some really great people in finding the right talent, recruiting, training, consulting them, and keeping them. Does that sound like a good plan? All right, first, I want to introduce you to Hayden Riggs from Tyler, Texas, team leader.
Big old Tyler.
There we go. Andrea Wright, Atlanta.
Hi, y'all.
And Jason Huck. Yes.
How's it going?
I'm so glad you guys are here. Thank you for doing this. I know that it's going to impact everybody in a huge way so that we can find talent and we can keep talent, right? Because it's not easy. It is not easy, right?
Never. No.
Never.
No. But we're going to do it. We're going to keep looking for that talent. So are you guys ready to rock?
Yeah.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Super, super, super. Now, Jason has a staff retreat. So we're going to start with Jason because he's going to have to jump in about 30 minutes. And so we'll start with you. Is that good?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, good. So when it comes to finding talent and keeping talent, what are some of the best practices? What are some of your, recruiting strategies to find the talent for your market center, agents, and also staff?
Yeah, for us, so, I was full-time real estate before I became a team leader. And I used to tell everybody, real estate is like farming, right? You're planting a lot of seeds. You're watering those seeds. Some seeds are not going to grow. Some seeds will. Some are going to grow faster than others. You're going to pick the fruit when it makes sense. And then you're going to continue to plant seeds and water the other ones and keep going, just like you would if you owned a farm, right? Recruiting and finding talent is similar to that, but it's a little different. I say that that's a little bit more like fishing. And it's like fishing in the sense that you're constantly casting out a net. You're constantly casting out your bait that you've got to try to attract that talent. No matter how many times you cast that out, there's going to be some fish you just can't catch, right? That carp is not worried about your worm on that line, right? It's not going to happen. And so there's going to be some that you just can't. But then as long as you're consistent with it, eventually you're going to catch most of those fish. And as long as you're trying to provide what they're looking for, you're going to be able to catch most of those fish. So I think one of the biggest things that's worked for us is trying to help as many people as possible get what they want, so that in doing that, we can eventually get what we want.
Awesome. That's great advice. That's great advice, Jason. Thank you. Thank you. How do you keep talent? So once you find somebody, who is talented, and how do you keep them happy, and wanting to stay with you and wanting to thrive together?
Yeah. Well, I kind of joked with somebody the other day. They asked me the same question of, they had just lost one of their top admin. They had moved on to and it was a good loss. I mean, it was a great opportunity for that person, but it's a loss nonetheless, right? And they said, Jason, how do you keep talent? And I said, Stacy, you don't. You just don't keep talent for forever. You can keep them for as long as possible. And I think making sure that your world is as big as you can get it, to where you can keep them in your world and consistently providing opportunity for them. But at some point, that bird's probably going to outgrow the nest and either needs to fly on their own or get to that next great opportunity. And so I think if you're constantly being that person that they want to surround themselves with, and they feel like they're going to grow much faster and to a higher extent by being in your world, and you consistently work on your world to make sure that you can do that, you're going to keep them a lot longer than maybe you would otherwise.
Excellent. So true. So true. How about you guys? Hayden, Andrea, what do you do to keep talent?
I think I want to piggyback off what Jason said because it's so true. Like, if your world's not big enough, talent is not going to stick in the world because they are going to want more opportunity. I think we've probably all felt that in our lives. I know I have, even in the team leader role. And so making sure that the people guiding me have a big idea of what they want so that I fit into that. Because I have a lot of, I want a lot, and I want to go higher than where I'm at right now and higher where I'm going to be 5 years from now. And so to be able to keep up with that, it's a full-time job to make sure that your world is big enough for me to be able to stick in it. And so I think that's one of the things I've definitely learned in the team leader role. And I'm like you, Jason, I was in production full-time for 3 years before taking on the team leader role. Which, what I've learned has been invaluable in this position, especially with hiring and being able to keep talent. And I think if your world's not big enough, talented people aren't going to stick in it. And then also when you hire people that aren't talented, they're not going to stick around as well.
So what I'll add to that is you also need to be really, really clear on what it is they actually want. What is their big why? Because I'll give you a great example. Is one of my top agents in my office has an attorney that is her admin. How do you get an attorney as an admin?
I would love to know.
Right? Great question, right? Well, she found out that being an attorney, there's a lot of things about that world she didn't like. And so what Holly did was create a world that fit what she wanted, right? I have the same thing with my agent services. My guess is she will probably never leave me. She has talent for that role. And yet I have to continuously spend time with her to make sure that her world is meeting her needs and that she's happy doing what she's doing. And if I feel friction in a relationship, then I'm probably not spending enough time in it. So if there's not an alignment in where we're going, then I need to spend and focus some more there. And that has served very well over many years. And you really learn to do that in a more purposeful way when you've lost talent and you're like, no, you are talent and I don't want to lose you. But if you don't close that gap, you'll never retain them. So it is about growth, but also clarity around what that truly means to them. Because growth to you and growth to them could be two very different things.
And if you're not constantly asking, like you said, if you're not constantly asking them what they want, then you think that you know what they want and you have no idea because your head's in the sand because you're off acting crazy, living life.
Yeah. and they're what they want can change, right? Like our big whys change, what we want changes. When I became a TL, I thought I wanted to be an OP. Now I'm like, no thanks. Y'all stay OPs. I am the happiest team leader ever. Like, this is my jam. So, your why and what you think you want changes too. So if you're not dialed into that at a high level with the people you truly want to stay in business with, you're going to miss it.
Well, I think two more things with that is, one, encouraging that conversation. If you don't encourage them to pursue growth and you kind of make it like it's a negative thing for them to ever potentially want to leave you, they're still going to want to grow and they're still going to have those conversations. They're just not going to have those with you, whether that's talent on your staff or agents in your market center or whatever. And so, if you're always having that conversation of how can I help you grow and come to me first so that we can find other opportunities. I hope it's with me, but if it's not, I'll help you find where it is. And then two, having that perception versus reality. And you can be that person all day long, but if people don't know you're that person, that's going to help them get where they want to go, then they're never going to know that that's an opportunity.
Excellent. That is so good, you guys. 100% true, right? So finding talent. Now, for everybody that's on the Zoom call, what has been your biggest struggle finding talent for your team? Anybody having anything in particular that they, have learned how to do it? Or
so I'll tell you, I don't know. And again, I want to be really clear is there's no right way to do this, right? There's the way that we've found most successful, and then you've got to make that work for you. Something that I have learned over the years that has worked well for me is really focusing on people that I really like and enjoy spending time with, and then lead generating out that way for talent for my staff. So every single person on my staff at this point was a referral to our staff, and that was a game changer. I've never succeeded at a very high level when just running blind ads. And again, total transparency, people have found talent that way. I have not succeeded that way. So really, one time I didn't want to hire an assistant team leader. You can ask Stacy about that. Because I was really actually worried about my hiring ability, because that is very much like a marriage, right? So I was very nervous around that. And so between Stacy and my OP looked at me and she's like, Andrea, how much are you lead generating for it? And I said, what do you mean by that? And she's like, well, who do you love that is going to have a rock star in their world that needs you and you need them? And the minute I started picking up the phone and calling agents in my office and other people in my world that I truly respected and admired, guess what? Perfect ATL showed up. I mean, perfect. He is the absolute what I needed. And that goes for my market center tech trainer, my front desk, my agent services, my MCOM. We don't have MCAs in our office. We have a market center office manager. And so every single one of those people was a direct referral from somebody that I respected and appreciated.
excellent.
I came from restaurant industry. I was in restaurant industry for like 12 years prior to getting real estate. Pretty much, I'd always wanted to get my real estate license. People had told me like, oh, have you ever thought about real estate? The whole rigmarole that everybody does. And it took my restaurant closing for me to go after and get my real estate license. So I looked for talent. I don't want to say restaurants only, but if I'm out and about and a bartender is just like amazing and like I'm watching them like crush a busy service and like they can multitask and like keep face, and if I see that, like I'm taking the opportunity to talk to them about, I was in restaurant industry. This is what real estate has done for my life. This is what Keller Williams has done for my life and my family. And I mean, we've found assistants at Subway that have turned out absolutely amazing. And my staff knows to always be looking for talent, because when talent presents itself, through everything Keller Williams teaches us, if opportunity presents itself, you find out a way to make it work, right? And so I'm always down to talk to anybody that's willing to talk to me about their future opportunity, no matter where they come from. And I'm the type of person that likes the underdog that nobody's ever really given a chance to, because I feel that they're hungrier and they're also very loyal in that sense as well.
And I think another way that's worked for me has been just crowdsourcing it. And, I've developed a lot of relationships, and we've got a lot of people on Facebook and Instagram and all these different platforms. And sometimes it's as simple as posting in our Market Center page or on my personal Facebook page of who do you know that I need to be in business with? Whether you have a specific position that's open and who do you know that would fit these criteria? It's amazing, the relationships that other people have that then they can connect you with that right person that you've never met yet.
Yeah. And if I could add one thing, is most, and you guys, Jason and Hayden, you both said it, is most people we've hired had jobs.
Oh yeah.
We weren't talking to people who were unemployed. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because there's all kinds of extenuating circumstances, yet typically talent already has something they're doing. And so don't, when you are lead generating for talent, make sure you're saying it's okay if they have the position that they're in right now. I'd still like to connect with them.
Even if they're attorney. I learned that today. Which I really love that. Right? I'm like, I'm going after an attorney.
Right?
I love that. That's good. So let me ask you a question. Where have you failed in the hiring process?
The rest of the call is going to be this question, everyone.
Yeah, because we're not perfect, right? So certainly we look at all of, the people that we have been in business with and we learn from it, right? When it doesn't work out. So where have you failed in hiring and what did you learn?
I'll go. So failed multiple times, all the time, tons of failures that we're learning from. One of them is hiring somebody that you're trying to fit into a role. You're trying to put them into the seat instead of it making sense and then almost putting themselves into the seat on the bus. Just because you feel like maybe you like them, maybe it's somebody, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member, maybe you're trying to make it work, not because they're the best fit, but because you want them to be the best fit. And then the second thing is hiring out of desperation. I'd rather take my time and have a seat be vacant for longer than I'd like than have somebody in the seat for longer than I'd like, if that makes sense.
Excellent.
You go ahead. No, you're good, girl.
Okay. The biggest mistake I made, there's two big ones. Because we all have plenty, trust us. But the two biggest that I made was not following the KPA process all the way through. I didn't go 3 deep in my references, and that came back and bit me big time. Big time. It went with my gut on it, and that gets you every time. And then hiring somebody I couldn't fire. And what I mean by that is because my relationship with somebody else prevented me from firing the person that needed to go. Don't hire your agent's children. Don't hire your relatives that, you aren't going to be able to get out of business with. So that is a huge piece of advice, because sometimes that can be an easy button at the time. But don't hire a friend that you can't fire.
I'll piggyback off both of you. The KPA is huge. It's amazing that we have this program through Keller Williams to be able to use it. If you haven't taken career visioning, you should take it tomorrow. If you've taken it once, you need to take it twice. I will say, and I remember watching a video of Gary talking about it, is that as agents, we don't necessarily hire as much as leadership does for a market center, because as a team leader, you get really good at hiring. Well, not really good. I mean, I'm still growing every day. I'm actually probably awful. I'm just kidding. But we hire more consistently, and we see like a bird's eye view of your businesses, right? So we help you hire, and we see what happens and everything that goes on. So we're a little bit better at it. As an agent, as a Rainmaker, understanding the KPA and career visioning and leaning on your leadership and your team leaders to help you hire is such a huge asset that no other company has, right? I say KPA and people are like, what? And then they're like, oh, it's a personality test. Well, it's a little bit more than that, right? It's going to help you. Plus, you're going to be able to find talent that might have been applying for one position, but then you run a KPA on them, and maybe they would be great in a showing assistant role or some other position. So the KPA, if you're not leaning on that, please lean on it. I love it. We use it religiously. And I think the second thing is I guess because I'm a team leader, and I think Rainmakers have the same thing. We're very like optimistic people, right? Because so I tend to ignore red flags. I think a red flag could be like hitting me in the head, and I tend to ignore it, especially during the KPA process when you're asking all the questions and going through the job considerations and everything. I've literally, and I'll tell you this because full transparency, we were hiring for a front desk position. And during the process, and we were hiring out of pain because it was painful not having somebody at the front desk because I was having to answer the phone sometimes, which I'm not the best person for that. And she had told us that one time she had left a job and didn't come back at lunch. And we were like, oh, okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that job must have sucked, whatever. You know what I mean? I left the next week on vacation and my MCA calls me and is like, are you drinking? And I was like, yeah, I am. I'm on vacation. She's like, Gracie left for lunch and never came back. And I was like, hey, Allison, do you remember? And she was like, I really don't want to talk about it. I know exactly what you're going to say. So just, we'll break it up. I hope you have a great vacation. So, so if I can lead by example, I like to tell my agent stories of when I've royally messed up. And so that I ignore red flags. I always like to see the best in people. And you've got to remember when you're hiring that you're hiring for a specific reason and it's for business. And you can have all the fun in the world after you get through 90 days. But up until then, it is business. So
that is hilarious. That's so funny.
There's more than that, but
yeah.
I saw in the chat that Mark Wilkinson said you need to have a deep bench. And I think that kind of goes into the hiring out of desperation. If you've got a deep bench at all times, and maybe I don't have a position available right now. However, here's 3 people that I would consider for each position. If something happened, if there's an opportunity for one of these people, I wouldn't for a second question them taking that opportunity if it was a good one, because I've got these other 3 people lined up that could fill that role. So I think that's really important.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Even for you, right? Because I know that we're talking to Rainmakers on the call and not just leadership as well. But if you're truly looking to build a 7th level business, like who's going to take over your spot? Like, are you thinking is your world so big that you're thinking so far in the future that you're worried about who's going to replace you? Because I know as the team leader role, I've took over this market center when it had 80 agents when I got here, and we're up to 250 in 3 years. And so like, this is my baby. I'm not going to pass this on just to anybody. And so I think that's really true, Jason, that we have to remember to build that bench, not get lost in the sauce.
Yeah. And if I can add too, is like KPA, I know we all touched on this, but please don't skip those. That's your biggest like secret weapon in all this. And the defensive interview, you as Rainmakers, to Hayden's point, is you guys, we may hire more than y'all do on a consistent basis as in leadership in this role. However, that defense interview, when you're going through that, leverage your team leader. I mean, I have done those for my agents before. Yes. We will help with that. And because it's easier to see when somebody else, to Hayden's point and Jason's point, we're very optimistic people. Y'all are too. Otherwise, you don't get up every day and just be like, okay, I got this. And so with that, leverage out. If you don't have a big team to have that defense interview with, use your team leader, use the market center, because we will happily do that for you. And we will be like, hey, remember that time that the girl said she walked out before this lady saying that too? Yeah, we already did that. Don't hire them, right? And we all have our own story of the crazy person we hired, and we're like, whoo, we should not have done that.
Exactly. And my MCA does. She's like, there's parts of the KPA that she's like really good at, and there's parts of the KPA that I'm really good at. And so the same goes with your leadership in your market center. Like if your MCA is really involved, Allison, she'll make appointments with my top producers and sit down and go over a KPA so that you have a better understanding about it, right? The career visioning class is like 2-3 days. I think it's 2 now. It's very different on Zoom than it is in person. And so like what you pick up on it is very different, but lean we're saying lean on the leadership of the market center, because all we want you to do, we know what happens when you make a bad hire, and we're doing everything in our power to help you not feel that pain. And you're going to be in a worse place if you hire somebody bad than if you don't, because firing somebody and getting rid of them is very difficult. Right. And so even if it's just really, really bad, that whole situation's bad. You're worse off than you were. In production, you're going 90-0. So you think, well, it'll be okay. Like we'll get past this. And, you know, I can't let them go because I can't be down an executive assistant or a TC or whatever it might be. So take your time, slow to hire, quick to fire, and ask them if they've ever walked out of a job and never showed back up. And make them feel uncomfortable. You can learn a lot about a person if you like stress them out a little bit. Like if they say something kind of weird and you come back and you're like, well, what do you mean by that? And they're like, well, what do you mean what I mean by that? And it's like, oh, you're getting real defensive. Okay. So, because I might come in guns blazing every morning and they're probably not going to be a good fit.
Right. Exactly. So how do we help our Rainmakers find talent?
I think one of the best ways that we've done it is I just have the conversation with our Rainmakers of, you know, who are you looking for? First off, are you looking for anybody? Sometimes you're just not. But if you were, you know, who would that person be? Some of them provide me a missing persons report of this is who we're looking for. And, you know, I would say probably 100 times more conversations with people than they may. And so there's times where I can say, hey, I don't know if you're looking for somebody or not, but this one's talent. And if you are, congratulations, you just found them. And if you're not, kind of keep them in the back of your mind, whether that's an agent, that's a, you know, potential buyer's agent, listing agent, anything like that. Or if it's an admin, it's somebody that just, hey, we don't have a position for them on staff right now. However, I think they'd be a very valuable add to your team.
Excellent.
I think too is don't underestimate the coaching programs in your market centers, because while you as a Rainmaker, no matter what you're looking for, whether it's admin or agent, that is a huge resource for you, because there's some people in that productivity coaching program that are not going to make it as agents and they need to be admin support. Mm-hmm. And that productivity coach knows that. They also know who would benefit from being on a team. And I think that you becoming best friends with your productivity coach in your market center is absolutely hands down the best advice that I can give any Rainmaker. Anytime they come to me asking and looking for talent, I usually have a few people that I know of, yet Allison for me has 10 times the amount of people that I always do. So if I was looking for one person that I could go form a great relationship with, that would be who it would be. My advice would be.
Well, if you haven't got the underlying thing here, it's lean on your market center.
Right.
Lean on us. We're here. We love y'all. Like you're all our babies. We want to help you. So I mean, like Jason said, I do predominantly most of the, recruiting in the market center. I meet with new agents. I meet with existing agents. I meet with admin. When we're hiring, because right now we're in a situation where I don't have a front desk person, and then I don't have a call coordinator for one of my business centers. And it's painful right now. However, we're meeting a ton of people that want to be in an admin role, and they might be talent, but they might not be right for us. And so I have a very strong relationship with my producers. And so I know, because they're coming to my office complaining about, oh my God, I need this, or, oh, I'm so busy. And so you might not realize that you need it. However, when I come up to you and I'm like, hey, you've been in my office freaking out for 2 weeks now. Like, I've got somebody that just got their license, and I think that they would probably be a good fit. And I know the personalities of my producers and like their vibe on their teams. And so when I sit down with somebody, if I think that they're going to be a fit for somebody, I immediately introduce them. And it's the same with producers, because you might have an agent that does a couple million per year, and they say that they're okay with that. However, they would much rather not have to deal with what Rainmakers deal with and be on a team. And so I think that those are the best people for putting on teams. And so even when I'm meeting with like even a capper, you know, they might be like, well, I don't really want to do this, but I'm happy where I'm at. Well, really, are you really? Well, you know, I'd be down to do more. Well, they might mesh well with one of my producers. So I might say, hey, have you ever thought about being on a team? And a lot of people outside of Keller Williams, at least in our market, don't really understand what that means. So it's just explaining to them and kind of showing them how it all works. So
Excellent.
we're matchmakers.
That's right. That's exactly right. Jason, I know you have your staff retreat.
Yeah,
right?
I probably got to pop off of here in the next probably 5 minutes for sure.
Okay, awesome. Anytime you need to, we thank you so much for all the wisdom and advice. So for everybody on the Zoom call, what questions do you have for these talented people who are black belt recruiters and finding talent and helping their agents grow their teams?
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the second step an agent should take after talking with their team leader about finding a buyer's agent for their team? What else should they do to proactively look for someone?
I would like to answer this. So the first thing that they come to me and they're like, hey, I need a buyer's agent, yada, yada. The first thing that I get them to do is I have a director of marketing at my office that's on the market center's payroll. And so I tell her to make a constant contact or whatever you use to push out. I pull a CSV from Broker Metrics and I have them send that flyer out to everyone in the whole MLS. Hey, I had Christy Martin send one out the other day. Hey, Christy Martin team hiring, 20 million in production the past year. We're looking for an experienced buyer's agent. And then so it's like a double whammy, because if they have a conversation and they're not a good fit for that team, then I can step in and have a conversation and get them in their downline. I think to me, that's the second step, is do a huge blast, and just social media is the best thing in the world.
Yep.
And not everybody has great team leaders like you. So if an agent, or if there's a team leader missing at the moment, what could the agent do to proactively find
Great
someone?
question. And yes, I get it. Right. We all came into markets. All three of us came into market centers. That there's a reason we got the opportunity. So that's fair. Yeah. So what I would say is, if I was you, and you still go to whoever has that Broker Metrics account, and I would pull, what is the cap in how much production does it take to cap in your area, Heidi?
16 sales.
Okay, great. So I would pull anyone that is doing about 20 sales or less. I always go cap, and 25% is just a rule of thumb. That's usually who I have the easiest time putting on teams. Get that CSV file, like Hayden said, and then I would do an email blast, and then don't underestimate command and leveraging it to run your social media ads for that directly.
Thank you.
Because one of those is hiring talent, is one of the things that command will go out and look for you.
Heidi, I'll also say, get a piece of paper and you write down any amazing agent that you've ever had, just an awesome transaction. You love them. You love talking to them. Even if it was a difficult transaction, anything, you write down all those people, even if they're an attorney, and you call them and you give them a call and you say, hey, my team, I'm looking for a buyer's agent right now. I don't know if you're interested. However, when we worked that deal on 123 Main Street, I loved working with you. If anything, could we at least go to lunch and have the conversation? And then you get to sit down with them. That is going to mean a lot to them, because who doesn't like, somebody telling them that they were a great agent, right? And then you get to have that conversation. If they're not the right fit, they might know somebody that would be, that might open up the conversation for you to put them in your downline and help them change their life, right?
Yeah. And anytime you're looking to add to your team, I would always phrase it that there is an opportunity available. Are you interested in it? Because you might come across people that are looking for what they perceive as a different opportunity, but it may be in alignment with you. So you can, agent, license required or whatever, if you're directly looking for an agent. But you can do really well describing the type of people you want to be in business with, not a job description. So if you're looking for an agent that is high energy, positive, goal oriented, focused, driven. I would describe the person and then push that out as well. Who do you know that I should know that sounds like this?
Thank you.
Great. Hey guys, thanks for being here today. Appreciate your input and your time. And Stacy, thanks for being a great leader and putting this thing together. Appreciate that. Let me ask you all, to the team leaders that are here, what's step one for them today? When they get off this call, what's step one to get them moving forward in the recruiting process?
I think step one is figure out who you want to be in business with. I think the who comes before the task, because job descriptions can be tweaked. So go figure out who you want to be in business with, and then also have your team leader or somebody else do the KPA process and validate yours. And then figure out where your gaps are, because not everyone fits in some magical mold. And so just because you are the Rainmaker doesn't mean that you're going to hit every characteristic of a Rainmaker, like for the job description. So figure out what your gaps are, write down what you're passionate about, and get super clear on who you want to be in business with.
I don't think I've ever really thought about that necessarily. And you are absolutely right. Talent is talent. A 10 is a 10. And the job normally molds around that talent. And so it's so true, because when I took the KPA to get the team leader role, I scored like low for it. Like I scored like I think it was like 36 or something. And my OP, like, I don't think she had even taken career visioning. So thank God, like, right, I squeaked by. And so now I've took it recently, and team leader is my second highest now. I score 96 for it. So just because somebody doesn't look right on the KPA is there for you to validate that and figure out who they are, because my KPA is very true. When you read it, it tells you who I am, whether I like that or not. It's true. And so just kind of figuring out who you want to be in talent with. I absolutely love that, because people want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And it's the same on your team. And you have, as a Rainmaker, you have a huge opportunity to bring somebody in your life and change their world.
And the other thing is start with the end in mind.
Yep.
I put this up behind me real quick because, I don't know if you saw, I just stepped to my side. I live with this. The yellow is the next hire that I want to bring on. And then everybody's job descriptions are on here. Everyone's clear about their roles. And then I know what everybody in my world is responsible for, and they know it too. So map it out what you want, and then start thinking about, okay, who can I put there? Who can I put here? Who can I put there? But again, step one is build a map. Can't get where you're going if you don't.
It's like a job vision board. I love that.
Yeah, I think having that end goal in mind, and then finding out, do I currently have the people on the bus to be able to get me there? And if so, are they in the right seats? And if not, who do I need to put on the bus?
So very true.
So Jim, this is Tim Shea. Thank you guys for doing this. I'm out of New England here, Massachusetts in particular. Jim, are you a team leader?
No, I'm a MAPS coach.
Okay. All right.
I was though.
Yeah. So you asked the question, what's the one thing that as a team leader you should do once you leave right here, right?
As a Rainmaker, yeah. What's step one in getting the recruiting process going?
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Great. I was just going to say, if it was team leader, it's getting those co-brokes. It's getting, in relationship with those people and just calling them direct. Yeah.
Very true, Tim.
So
Fair.
can I ask a question about a challenge that I'm kind of facing?
Yes, please, Gloria.
When you bring somebody into the office and I'm saying like support staff, right? If they're not really accountable to the things that they should be doing, but the agents love them, right? Because they're nice, they're funny, they joke with them, they'll have a drink with them, but you know that you're not going to get to the next level because the person is
Can I take this one?
Please do.
Okay, so I've done this multiple times. I found them another job.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm not the bad guy. That
You
makes
found
me
another
not
job.
the bad guy.
And that's kind of like what we've done recently. It's just I don't know. I'm not feeling good about the decision because he's actually went to our sister market center, right? And he's seeing this as a promotion, and I'm feeling like, oh dear God, what did I do?
Are you
Here's
a
the
team
thing.
leader, Gloria?
I am.
You are a team leader. I'll say I've had this happen, especially when I first got here, and people were in the roles that had been in the roles for a long time but weren't doing anything. It may seem like everyone likes them, and it will be a detriment to the market center. But I guarantee you that in a week, nobody will even remember that it happened.
Yeah, well, I honestly believe that as well. I mean, it's just like he reached out to this other market center knowing that he was probably not going to survive here, and made her think how he's going to be, like, it's going to be detrimental to the market center. Yet I've already seen like such a change in the rest of the staff.
It sounds like they're probably kind of toxic too. And I don't allow nobody is toxic. If you we don't deal with drama or gossip or anything like that. Like I want the vibe to be high. I want to have a good time, and I want to make money, and I want us to work. And if you don't line up in that and you start rocking the boat, even with agents, I got rid of a $20 million producer because she wasn't in culture, and I didn't care. It said more about me. And I'll tell you this as well. Your agents are watching you like a hawk, and they see everything that you do because we are the ones that model the systems and everything. And I tell them that. I'm like, if you had a hire that wasn't meeting up to the expectations and wasn't doing a good job, what would you do? And they're like, well, I would get rid of them. And I'm like, okay, great. I can't sit here. I'm dad, and you're sitting here watching me hold on to somebody that's toxic, that's bringing down the energy in the office. That doesn't say anything good from a leadership standpoint if I hold on to them. So 30, 60, 90 is the way that it is. And I don't deal with toxic, and they won't remember. Just get them. Get on out of here.
It's usually you kind of drum it up in your mind that's going to be worse than what it really is. And I'll say a couple of things on that, and then I got to jump off. But in the past, we've had people that just, they weren't bad people. They weren't toxic people. They just weren't the right fit for the role. Maybe I was optimistic in hiring, like we said before. And, it was consistent that, okay, you're just not hitting the marks that we've had set. And is it a different position on the same bus that we need to put you in to be able to get the most out of you? Because they're probably not happy either. If they're not hitting the marks, they're probably not hitting those because they're not happy in their current role. And so we've moved people around on the team, and we've also sent them to either a different market center or a different, like a team in the market center, a lot of different opportunities there. Not that it's a bad thing, it's just a better fit. But it, like Hayden said, if it is a toxic person, you got to pull the weed. And you think, oh my gosh, I've got this big weed in my yard. I'm going to pull it, and it's going to look like this bare patch. What are people going to think? And then all of a sudden some grass grows there, and nobody cares anymore. And so it's one of those things where sometimes if it is a toxic person, you got to pull that weed sooner rather than later before it kills the lawn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was necessarily toxic. And like you said, he's a nice person. He's not an accountable person. And my thing is, if you take on a job and you agree to certain responsibilities, do those responsibilities, and I'm going to consider you a rock star. But don't do the responsibilities and then blame other people for like things not getting done. That's
no.
So.
And to go off what Jason said, sitting down with somebody and just making it a little uncomfortable. I know that sounds awful, but I mean, we all crack under being uncomfortable, right? Sitting them down and just looking them in the eye and be like, are you happy? And just have I'm like, are you happy? And they're going to be like, no,
they'll do it for you.
That and blah, blah, what? My family sucks and da da da. And it's like, good. Now we're growing as people, and like I'm here for you. So if you're not happy, like let's make you happy.
Right.
And make it about them, right? If you truly care about people, and it sounds like you do, because you know you like them, they're just not working.
Right.
And this is business.
Yes.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel like, oh wow, 1,000 times better.
You're so sweet. I would love to be at your market center.
Right. Thank you.
So sweet.
I love it.
All right, I got to jump off here, guys. I appreciate you having me on here.
Thank you, Jason, so much. Thank you.
I think that goes for Rainmakers too. Don't underestimate that, is that, you know, you're mirroring and building a business that mirrors with exactly what the market center is doing. I would, you know, I've been in real estate my entire life. I always tell people I don't know how to do anything else. If this doesn't work out, I got nothing. So make sure that because I say that because it's the same job. Hayden, Jason, it's the same job. The Rainmaker job, team leader job, it's identical. And so really watch that model, and what we're seeing, whether it's market center level or team level, it's the same. Because if you've got somebody like Gloria is saying that it's just, they're not an accountable person, and they're, again, you feeling that friction in that relationship, it's the same. Find them somewhere else to go, even if the rest of the people feel super comfortable and like that person. I had that conversation last night with a Rainmaker. She doesn't want to let the person go because she likes her, and so does her agent. I'm like, and we're not getting where we want to go. So how long are you okay with that?
Yeah. Very good. Very good. What other questions do you guys have for Hayden and Andrea? What can we do?
I have a question, and thank you for this. It's been really, really great. I coach some team leaders overseas, and I see them complaining a lot about their ability to retain and hire. And one thing I notice is wanting to lead by, not leading by example. So what models do you think you mastered to become really great team leaders?
Have you ever taken business by the book?
No.
That's the class. Like, nail it. I'll disappear for 1 second and show you exactly what I use. But that is the one thing models and the MREA models, and you should have those nailed inside and out. That is your job descriptions. That's the 7th level. That's all the things that are the tools and systems that we need to nail this at a high level. We do not have to reinvent the wheel. Business by the book is the MREA 2 models. So it has all of the updated numbers in that course. I have attended that course every single time I have been able to go. And I cannot, anytime somebody comes to me as a new team leader, an experienced team leader, an agent looking to build their business or grow their business, that is like the Cliff Note Express, down and dirty. What are the models? What do you need to know? What do you need to walk out of here and get clarity on? That's the class you need to be in.
Awesome.
Great advice.
I haven't taken that, and now I will. I agree with I mean, the MREA is it's the model. It's right there. It's and a lot of us try to reinvent the wheel because naturally team leaders are going to be very entrepreneurial, right? So it's and Andrea said it a few times, like what works for us might not necessarily work for them. However, I think it goes back to the talent conversation, because when I came on, like I looked my OP in the eye, and I didn't want to take the position at first. She knew that I was moving from Austin to Tyler. I was getting in production in Tyler. I had already been lead generating to get business. And she said, would you want to be in leadership? And I said, no, I'm a producer. I don't know about that. But I sat down and had the conversation with her. Well, then once I started understanding and seeing the opportunity, I looked her in the eye and I said, I will make your life easier. I came running at the position. And I don't take that lightly, and I'm a very loyal person. So like, I don't give up. And like, Stacy's my MAPS coach. She sees the down and dirty side of what goes on, right? And team leaders' lives, like you're a therapist, right? And so I think just if they're the right team leader, like keep encouraging them and make them know that like they're not in it alone, and it is very difficult, just like being a Rainmaker or being in production. And just know that like the only time we fail is when we quit. And so if you find my MCA's over here, I share an office with my MCA. So if that's very different from most people. And so like I keep my people very close to me because she's gone through the trenches with me. She was the Dofi. She was at the front desk when I got here. And she was MCA within, I think, like 8 months, maybe less than that. And so once we started building our little army, you know what I mean? Once you find talent that's going to stick around, that's when the momentum gets going, and that's when the ball starts rolling. So I encourage you to encourage them to find their people that are going to make them happy every day when they pull up in the parking lot at 8 o'clock or 7:30, whatever time they get to work in the morning. And treat it like a family, because that's when, I mean, we spend most of our time at work, you know what I mean? So if we're not enjoying it, we're not having fun, like what are we doing?
Mhm.
It makes me miserable. If I'm miserable, everybody's miserable. Now, if I'm happy, I'm a very happy person. Everybody's very happy. Even if they're not being accountable, they'll get happy.
You know, you nailed that, Hayden. And I will tell you what I do. I'm a high D. My mom says it this way. I will say whatever with a smile, and you're not sure that I told you off until you've left, right? Because I'll be like, bless your heart.
Yeah, that's very Southern.
Right?
Oh, sweetie.
So with that being said, is that this is for Rainmakers, TLs, anybody you're coaching. Most of us are high drivers, high achievers, and we struggle to slow down and celebrate things. I am so guilty of that.
Amen.
Do not underestimate handwritten notes.
Yeah.
That's for everything and everybody, but it is so much easier for me to time block, to leave little notes for my staff, leave little gifts for them, do small stuff, and that will change culture. Not that I'm saying it's good, bad, or indifferent, but you could have talent that's just not happy because the environment isn't good, not because they're not achieving. And so creating that culture of I see you and I value you and I hear you, because a lot of times as Rainmakers, as team leaders, we are running so fast that we forget to slow down long enough to check and see who's behind us and who's still with us.
And that also goes for OPs as well.
That's right.
Right? OPs, y'all are over us. And if you are not pouring into us, it's not a good thing.
Yeah. We all struggle.
Recognition is huge. Recognition is so important.
Very
and
much.
acknowledgement. Yeah. We have to always consider and celebrate the wins and show our appreciation for anyone on our team, right?
Yep.
We need to be reminded. What other questions do you guys have? What can we do to be of support to you in building your teams and finding talent?
Y'all have had really good questions too.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
Ray Duvall doesn't have a question. I saw him on here.
Yeah.
We're going to call out Ray real quick.
All right.
Is he still here?
I don't know.
No, he jumped off. Oh,
Okay.
I'll get him later.
All right. Cool. Well, if you guys
I
don't
do
have
have a question.
yeah.
I'm not a team leader. I'm an agent just growing my team. I kind of hired my first admin, but I want to increase my downline.
Mhm.
So
I love
how
that.
do I recruit? And I do teach pre-licensing. How do I recruit? I have a website, but it's not generating anything for recruitment. Any suggestions on how to reach other newer agents or cappers to try to recruit?
What state are you in?
I'm in Illinois, near Chicago.
Illinois. So as far as new agents go, in Texas, Trek is once they register to get their license, their information is public knowledge. So I don't know if your state licensing has that or not. So that might be something you could talk to your team leader about. They probably know.
What did you call it? Trek?
Well, that's the Texas Real Estate Commission. So it'll be different in yours, but we can get on their website and pull a CSV of everybody that's registered to get their license. And you can literally pick up the phone and call them and just say, I mean, it's my script is essentially, hi, my name is Hayden Riggs. I'm the team leader for Keller Williams Tyler. I got your information from Trek saying that you're getting your license. Are you currently shopping for a brokerage? And then that just goes into everything else that you need to have. And as an agent, it's not your job to recruit them. It is the team leader's job to do the heavy lifting. So you excite them and get them pumped up. And then you say, wonderful, I'm going to get you with my team leader. And your team leader might not recruit for new agents. I know some PC coaches and like ATLs, it depends on the structure of your market center. But team leaders love referrals. Like please, if you send me and you're like, hey, I talked to this new agent, they're about to get their license. Will you call them? Yes. I pick up the phone right then while I'm in front of you and schedule an appointment, and they come into the market center and we lock it down. And then cappers, like I'm very social. And so like after this call, I'm going to a CE thing that a title company is doing at a winery. Even better. And it's Friday, right? So I'm going to go, and I know a bunch of Caldwell Banker agents are going to be there, and they are hard to get in front of because they don't go into anything at the board. So I'm going to go have some wine and go talk to everybody and let them know who I am, and see if I can't make some appointments there. And you have a great opportunity as an agent because you're less scary to other producers because they know that my position is to date every agent in town and recruit them. And so they can be very standoffish with us. I usually don't let them, but as an agent, you'd be surprised. You can have very meaningful conversations and set appointments and grow your downline and make some profit share.
Best script for producing agents that I have found works every time. Again, I go back to, and your team leader will have their own history, right? Is I'm not a recruiter. I wasn't trained as a recruiter. I'm a business consultant. So my appointments with my top agents that I consult with, a recruiting appointment is going to look exactly the same. It's not, let's word vomit KW on them. That's not what this is about. It's about them and their business. So the best thing that you can tell producing agents is, hey, I have an amazing business consultant that's been helping me. And are you open to me connecting you guys, or the three of us going and having a cup of coffee?
I love that. That's money.
And I have a top agent in my office who doesn't even work very hard at getting referrals to me. What he did was, if you use like a showing time service or something like that, at the bottom of the screen, he asks the question, are you interested in attending any of these classes next month? And he always has a lead gen class, a buyer's agent class, a social media class, and an objection handling class as an option. And once they click the button, he automatically sends it to me.
That is brilliant. I'm
writing it down. I just looked at my MCA and I was like, oh, that's a good idea.
And I mean, he's like, and if nothing else, it's like, then it's a warm call for either me or Andrew, who's on the call with me today, to call them and just say, hey, you know, Dave Legaz, let us know you were interested in our next social media class. It happens to be on such and such date. Would you like to attend in person? Or can we send you a Zoom link? By the way, can I get you on my calendar to hear more about your business? So,
I love
it's and a lot of my agents are doing it, and I got at least 3 referrals this week alone from it. So
also, I want to mention one thing because it's overwhelming my life right now is K-Score, the Keller Williams class schools that's going out. I did a team meeting over profit share, explaining exactly how profit share works because it had been a while since we did it. And we introduced saying, hey, Keller Williams is doing pre-licensing. I told them that they could go ahead and share it on social media. And I don't have the link quite yet. We're working on that today. But I have about 40 people in Allison's email that went on a spreadsheet that I need to reach out to get them enrolled in classes. And if you want a great opportunity to grow your downline, even with new agents, I think that this is a huge power move by Keller Williams. This company is amazing, guys. If y'all lean into everything that they have to offer, just like Gloria was saying with classes, if you're a producing agent, especially a top producer, I don't think y'all truly understand like the clout that you have in the area that you're in. People watch you and they keep their eyes on you, and a lot of them would be very honored to be invited to a class by you. While you think that there's like an underlying, you're trying to recruit them, don't lead with that. Like Andrew said, like this is about changing people's lives, and you have the opportunity to truly put them with a company that teaches them how to run a big business and run it without like running the wheels off of it. Right.
100%.
Case score.
Very true. Case. That's very true. Well, I want to say thank you. Thank you, Hayden. Thank you, Andrea. And thanks to Jason. I hope this was helpful for everybody, and I hope you got a lot out of it. I sure appreciate you spending time with us. And 1KW, right? We're all in this together. We're all here to support one another because we can do it, and we are with the best company on the planet with the best leaders.
Amen. And if anybody, please add me on Facebook. I'm on there all the time. If y'all need anything, y'all are more than welcome to reach out. Whether it's you've got maybe somebody that's getting their license in Tyler, or you need to sell some real estate.
Same for me. And we cover all of North Atlanta in my market center. So
awesome. Well, thank you all. Thank you for being here, and a big hugs and big thank you to Andrea and Hayden. Thanks for sharing your wisdom
so
with
much.
us. You have a great weekend.
Y'all have a great weekend.
bye, y'all.
Bye.